started juggling cameras, kids, and a calendar cram with appointments would be my daily circus. As Juarsugueraro is right bouse. But here I am, at 39, a freelance photographer with a life that's always a click away from chaos. My name's Sarah, and my world revolves around two things: my camera lens and my family.
My husband, Mike, is the kind of guy who's married to his job. First Brabau, he works as a sales rep for a company with branches across 3 cities. Retribution.
I can't remember the last time we had a meal together without him rushing off or being glued to his laptop. And then there are our kids, Lily and Max, both in school and whirlwind of activities and homework.
Mama, have you seen my math book? Lily's voice snaps me back from my thoughts as I sort through my camera gear. It's probably under the pile of clothes in your room. I reply without looking up.
Max runs in, his soccer by jumping against the wall winner for Retaliation Wolf Inner's Crest. Can you sign this form for my field trip? Sure, bud. I got this. But just give me a minute, I say, balancing a camera in one hand and the form in the other. I'll stream at the personnel of the radio. Walking right, Meg.
As the kids dash off to their rooms, I hear the front door open and close. Mike's home. Mike's off eating cherry. Probably just to grab something and dash off again. And this is Stegri. His presence in the house has become like a cameo appearance in a long-running show. Companion show. Hi, Mike. Mike, how was your day? I was not expecting much of a conversation. Mr. Garamo is graciously out of all the fresh. Same old, just tired. Just tired. I'm other trip tomorrow. He says, barely looking up from his phone.
I was thinking maybe this weekend we could do something as a family. Take the kids out or something. I suggest hoping for a change. I sigh, realizing it's a lost cause. God, as all in maybe, or we'll see. The kids and I have become experts at filling in the blanks of his absence. The evening rolls on with the usual routine. Dinner, homework, bedtime stories, and finally, some quiet. I sit on the porch, my camera by my side, capturing the night sky. It's my moment of peace, a brief escape from the relentless pace of life. Who am I kidding? No, even in these quiet moments, my mind races with tomorrow's to-do list, unanswered emails, and the ever-looming question, when will things change? As I head back inside, I make a mental note to check my schedule for next week. It's a balancing act, and I'm the ringmaster of my own chaotic circus. Go. In this hustle and bustle, I often wonder, when did life become a series of tasks to take off rather than moments to live? Life as a freelance photographer is never predictable, but nothing prepared me for the curveball I was about to receive. It's just another Wednesday morning, and I was out for a walk with our dog, Buster. The sun was shining, but my mind was cloudy with thoughts of upcoming projects and deadlines. Damn, Buster, let's make this quick. Bowman's got a ton of editing to do, I muttered, tugging slightly at his leash. Just as we turned the corner, near the park, Buster spotted a cat, and in a split second, everything went haywire as he lunged forward, pulling the leash with such force that I lost my balance and fell hard onto the pavement. Wayshu bread. Oh, Buster, stop! I yelled, but he was too busy chasing the cat to notice. I tried to get up, but a sharp pain shot through my leg. Hey, just what I needed. Condensed what I sure. Limping back home, I called Mike. Hey, I think I hurt my leg. But you come home early? Farrah, I'm in a meeting. 5 minutes in. Then can wait, then scurry. His voice was curt, a clear sign of his irritation. Oh, I just felt like, sure, it's gross. It's not like I'm calling for fun. I snapped, frustration boiling over. Fine, I'll see what I can do, he replied, and the line went dead. After what felt like halting eternity, I made it home. The pain was getting worse. I knew I had to see a doctor, but with Mike's unpredictable schedule and the kids at school, it was a logistical nightmare. The diagnosis was a fractured leg, Farash's lectured leg. But just what I needed on top of everything else. The doctor advised rest, meaning no shoots, no chasing after the kids, nothing. As if my life wasn't chaotic enough. Back home with my leg in a cast, I felt like a bird trapped in a cage. I had to take over some of my duties, which he did with an obvious lack of enthusiasm. This is a real mess, Sarah. Now let's hear back on beat. My cast, his tone more concerned with the inconvenience than my pain. A few weeks at least. It's not like I planned this. I retorted, my patience wearing thin. The kids were surprisingly helpful, though. I nailed it at action. Lily took over some of the house chores, and Max tried his best to be less of a tornado around the house. Can I anything? Ellie asked, her concern genuine. Just some peace would be nice. I replied with a tired smile. Days turned into weeks. I was stuck at home, my world reduced to the four walls of our living room. Ike was out most of the time, and the kids were busy with school. The loneliness was suffocating. In a desperate attempt to find something to occupy my time, I decided to explore photography firms online. Little did I know this decision would turn my world upside down. Back at home with my leg in a cast, I found myself diving deeper into the world of online photography forums. Asi Brui Dum is a nice distraction, scrolling through endless galleries of beautiful images of Shukrai. It always made me forget the throbbing pain in my leg. When I think about it, and one evening, while mindlessly browsing, something caught my eye. A photo of a man proposing to a young woman. The scene was picturesque, but it wasn't the romantic setting that grabbed my attention. As the man in the photo is replaceable. It looked exactly like Mike, my husband. No, this can't be, I murmured to myself, my heart pounding. It just looks like him, that's all. But the more I looked at it, the more I couldn't shake the feeling. It's more than just a resemblance. I had to know more. I messaged the photographer, a woman named Jenna. Hi Jenna, I came across your photo of the marriage proposal. Why size so proud and I. But can you tell me more about it? Where was it taken? What's an Elfra?
Sure, that was taken in Riverdale. Lovely couple, to scatter. When you asked? I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's against my policy to share personal photos without my client's consent. When should these do? And I
pleaded, explaining my situation and my growing suspicions. Brian Mistay. After what felt like an eternity, Jenna finally relented. I understand. I'll send you a few more shots, but please keep this between us. Just when the photos arrived, my heart sank. I'm real, I was arrived. There he was, my Mike, down on one knee, holding a ring to a woman I had never seen before. The same loving gaze he once gave me was now directed at her. I sat there staring at the screen, tears streaming down my face. I strove her. My world, my marriage, everything I believed in, shattered in an instant. I never imagined myself in the role of a woman who'd hire a private detective. Yet there I was, sitting across from Rick, a seasoned investigator with a face that didn't give anything away. I handed him photos of Mike and a list of cities he frequently visited. What are you doing in these trips? I sang voice a strange mix of fear and resolve.
I'll track his movements, see who he meets. But it's going to take some time. You okay with that?
Was far from okay, but I nodded. Find me the truth was all I could muster. As Rickle delved into his investigation, I was forced into a role I never wanted, the wife who pretends everything is normal. Ike, oblivious to the storm brewing, continued his business trips, leaving me alone with my swirling thoughts. I started noticing changes in Mike that I'd never seen before. Both beyond for session. His wardrobe underwent a transformation. Suits that screamed designer labels, shoes that weren't from our usual budget stores. His cologne was different too, replaced by a scent that was more refined, more luxurious. I am Marie. These were subtle changes, but to me, they were glaring. And there were the phone calls. Mike had always been private with his phone, but now it was excessive. Presser wondering, I'd lock himself in the bathroom, speaking in hushed tones. I once pressed my ear against the door, trying to catch snippets of his conversation, but all I could hear was the muffled sound of his voice. I watched him closely, trying to find traces of the man I married in his new persona. As with every passing day, he seemed more like a stranger. I wondered how long he had been living this double life, right under my nose. The kids started to notice the tension, the Irish/bad. Morayan. Really, ever perceptive that one night, Mom, is everything okay with you and Dad? And I forced a smile, and he was super spinal. Everything's fine, sweetie. Just a lot on my mind with work. I wasn't fine. The man I shared my bed with, the father of my children, felt like a mirage. I found myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, piecing together the lies and half-truths. In the evening, as Mike prepared for another trip, I found myself watching him pack. His moved with such ease, a routine he had mastered. There was no hesitation, no signs of guilt. It struck me then how easy it is to deceive someone who trusts you completely. I reflected on our years together, wondering when the lies began. Had I been ideal to trust it? Or had I chismed into the world of signs, too wrapped up in my own world? Earthspace swirly? As when weeks went by and Rick finally called. As we need to meet, his voice was serious, carrying a weight that made my heart sink. We met at a quiet corner of a nearly empty cafe. He slid a thick envelope across the table. A showy able one as, eh? Unknown help. I found quite a bit. You sure you're ready for this? Andy. I wasn't sure of anything anymore, but I nodded. Inside the envelope were photos, receipts, and detailed reports. And crisper piece of evidence was like a knife twisting in my heart. Posting there was my mic, but not the mic. I knew. In each city, there was a different woman, a different life. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal. My mind raced with questions. How could he do this? How long have he been living this lie? I paid Rick, barely speaking as I left. Walking home, the envelope felt like it weighed a ton. I realized then that all this while, I had been living with my eyes closed. I had refused to see the man Mike had become, clinging to the image of the husband I thought I knew. Now, with my eyes wide open, I saw everything clearly. From the lies, the deceit, the reality of my marriage laid bare. Years laid, just as the truth. I couldn't run from anymore. Holding on to the truth about Mike's infidelities was like keeping a storm inside me. I kept the photos a secret. Of course! I wasn't gonna let him off easy. No, he deserved more than just a confrontation. He deserved a reckoning. I wanted to give him an unpleasant surprise, one that he'd remember for the rest of his life. As the days passed, my leg finally healed. I could walk without wincing in pain, a small victory that felt like a fresh start. As one part of me healed. Another part plotted revenge. Mike continued his routine, unaware of the storm brewing under his nose, approaching herself Riley. He left for his trips and came back, slipping further into his web of lies. He thought he was smart, but he didn't know that I was now playing the game too. I crafted a plan, something that would expose his deceit in the most dramatic way possible. I wasn't gonna tip my hand by letting him know what I knew. No, that had to be lies. I spent hours thinking, planning, making sure every detail was perfect. I watched him pretending everything was normal, but inside I was counting down the days. My heart had turned cold, each beat a reminder of his betrayal. Thankfully, everything was in place. The trap was set, and all I had to do was wait for the right moment. Mike was oblivious, still wrapped up in his lies, thinking he had fooled me. He had no idea what was coming. As I lay in bed that night, the phrase revenge is a dish best served cold echoed in my mind. I realized that was exactly what I was doing, serving him his just desserts, cold and yielding. This wasn't just about revenge. It's about justice, about taking back my life from someone who thought he could play me for a fool. As the night I planned to confront Mike was etched in my mind like a date with destiny. I cooked his favorite meal, decked the table with our best china, and even put on the dress he always said he liked. It's all a facade, a stage set for the final act. I walked in, looking tired but surprised at the effort I'd put in. Oh, what's all this for? What's all this for? He asked, a slight smile playing on his lips. This felt like doing something special, I replied, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside. We sat down, and for a while I played the part of the doting wife. We talked about mundane things, but I was just biding my time, waiting for the right moment. The doorbell rang, and that was cue. But can you get that, honey? Hush! I asked, my heart pounding in my chest. Mike got up, still unsuspecting, and walked to the door. Do you the deliverer in the shell? I heard his footsteps, the door opening, and then a moment of silence before his voice, laced with shock. What are you doing here? I walked the doorway, and there they were. The girl from the photos and her parents. The look on Mike's face was priceless. A mix of shock, fear, and confusion. Sarah, what is this? Mike turned to me, his voice a mix of accusation and panic, cresting pad sentence. This is me giving you a taste of your own medicine. I said, my voice cold and sharp. The girl, tears in her eyes, confronted Mike. You said you loved me, that we were going to be together? Her parents were furious, demanding answers, their voices raised in anger. Mike tried to speak, but words seemed to fail him. You've been living a lie, Mike. Full lie, Mike. And I have all the proof, I said, holding up the envelope Rick had given me. Mike's face went from red to pale. He looked at me, then at the girl and her parents, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. I spat out, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. The room was filled with shouting, accusations flying. Mike tried to explain, to apologize, but it was too late. The truth was out, and there was no going back. As the girl and her parents left, the reality of what had just happened seemed to sink in for Mike. He looked at me, his eyes searching for something. Maybe forgiveness or understanding. All I felt was disgust. I was disgust. Be I said, my voice void of emotion. They didn't argue, just packed a few things and left. The house was suddenly quiet, the echoes of the confrontation still hanging in the air. The days following the confrontation were a blur. The house was filled with the noise of our family, now echoed with haunting silence. I kept busy, trying to distract myself from the emptiness and the hurt. First serve was sure. The kids, your dad and I Fifi, what Albie said, we're going to living apart for a while. I said, my voice trembling. Well, Mom, was expressed never scams, questioner satters. Is did you something wrong? Max's innocent eyes. A searched mind for answers in Poland. Sorry, it's not you. No, it's a Charizard's. Crazy-san. The dad made some mistake, and we need some time apart. I tried to explain without revealing too much. Ellie, older and more perceptive, understood more than I wished she would. She would. Was Dad not coming back? As she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I know, sweetheart. I replied, holding back my own tears. I started the divorce proceedings. It was both liberating and soul-crushing. Mike tried to reach out, sending messages of apology, of wanting to talk. So, I couldn't stop. I didn't was done, and she said, "Leave me out ever." The legal battles began. I fought for the house, for alimony, for everything we had built together. It was a messy, painful process, but I was determined to get what we deserved. One day, I was going through some old boxes and found a photo of Mike and me on our wedding day. I stared at it, at the happy, hopeful faces we once were. It felt like a lifetime ago. Bloody Gilliam, Dumbitron and Cat keep crying. Why did Dad hurt us? Max asked, coming into the room. I put the photo down, looking at my son. But sometimes people make bad choices, Maxie. And those choices hurt the people they love. Lacey cover I would he love. But do you still love Dad? As he asked, his eyes full of confusion. Our sessions? I sighed, a mix of sadness and resignation in my heart. Bye, no, Max. Bye. I'm just trying to figure out what's best for us now. The weeks turned into months. The divorce was finalized, leaving me with a mix of relief and a deep sense of loss. I'll be Mo. I started focusing more on my photography, taking on more assignments. As a way to rebuild, to find myself again. One evening, Lily came to me. Mom, are we gonna be okay? I hugged her, feeling her small body shake with sobs. Pour bourse, we're one of... Yes, we are. We are. We're gonna end it just fine. I didn't stop after the divorce. If anything, kept moving at a relentless pace. The kids and I settled into a new routine, finding our footing in this altered reality. We were a team, the three of us facing each day with a mix of resilience and hope. A photography business was also picking us, I landed a few big contracts, photographing events and doing portrait sessions. The lens was my window to the world, allowing me to capture moments of joy, of life moving forward. One evening, as I sat editing photos, I reflected on the past month. The pain of betrayal, the turmoil of the divorce, it all seems like a distant memory now. I found strength I didn't know I possessed. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. As my friend and neighbor Martha, dropping by with some coffee and a friendly smile. How'd you believe it? As she asked as we sat in the living room. UK. Let me on, dearie. Okay, actually. The bed had been okay applied, a sense of contentment washing over me. That's great to hear. And about you've really inspired me with your strengths, Martha said, her eyes sincere. We chatted for a while talking about work, life, and everything in between. It's nice to have a friend who understood my journey. Sure. As Martha left, I looked around my home, filled with laughter, love, and the evidence of a life moving forward. The hardships had not defined us. Instead, they had forged us into something stronger. Bond. Life was good, not perfect, but good. And for now, that was more than enough.